p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Sorry, but we have a great topic for y'all. This is the Live Clean and Fight Dirty YouTube live show with UFC coach and Hawaiian Kempo founder John Hackleman and your co-host, Black Belt in Kajukenbo, Angelo Ferrer. That's me. Today, we are talking about, I wrote this down so I wouldn't forget. And it disappeared. Okay.
You know,
I
it
know what we're
is.
talking about, though. I know what we're talking about. Should fitness be part of your belt test? Some people feel that a few push ups and some sparring is good enough. Is it? We're going to talk today with Hackleman about how that works. So, some people have different tests, man. I've seen some Taekwondo guys, they have to run they have to do like the PT exercises that they do for the military. I remember one guy had to do,
Yeah.
he had to run 5K or 3 miles in 30 minutes, and he had to do a certain amount of push-ups and squats, and then they'd go into from there into sparring and kata and all kinds of stuff. What are your thoughts? What do you think? What do you like to do?
I think first of all, I think the question or the I think it's such a ludicrous question to have to ask because especially in this day and age where everybody knows because of the UFC, pretty much because of the UFC, everybody knows now the weaknesses and the strengths and how where their martial art has failed, and where it needs to improve and where it's shined, and Taekwondo, beautiful spinning hook kick knockout, Edwin Barbosa, boom, there's Taekwondo right there. So Taekwondo is, people, oh, that's too many weaknesses. Really? Check out some of their front snap kicks and shit to the face and some Taekwondo type techniques, just they've proven to work. Shotokan or traditional Japanese karate, everybody ragged on it until fucking Lyoto Machida came and showed the world how traditional karate is a very important part of martial arts. And guess what? He people want to take him down because he's such a good striker. So he learns not only takedown defense, he has great takedowns himself, and he has a great ground game. So everybody is a lot of people still have strengths. Leota definitely does. The Pettis brothers, and then we have guys like we got guys like Dan Henderson wrestling with all his game. Then he started throwing that right hand and knocking people out with it. That became his thing. So everybody's learning that they have to add to their curriculum as a martial artist, but they see that people that run out of gas in a fight never win, and they see that fighting makes them very tired. So where's the disconnect in their brains that think, well, I got to do more ground stuff because I have a Taekwondo skill, but we also teach Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and we do different Muay Thai stuff. We teach Muay Thai, so they start bringing in these things as separate like classes where they don't in their core curriculum. The only reason people do this is if their core curriculum is weak. If their core curriculum is weak, then they have to take and borrow from everybody else's to sell as an outsider. You know what I mean? So it's like it's not part of their curriculum, but it's an upgrade. So I think, I think not running out of gas is just as important as 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 not having any strength or not having any takedown defense or not having any striking defense. I think running out of gas is every bit, if not more important, to address. And if you don't have it, you don't think it's part of your core curriculum, but you teach some blocking techniques, you're mixed up. You're mixed up in the head. You know what I mean? That's what I think. If you don't have it as part of your core curriculum and testing, even during the testing, then there's something missing. You're not looking at martial arts the same way I am.
And this is something I've been working with a jujitsu guy. He's getting into the some of the my Kajukenbo curriculum, and one of the things we were talking about was the pace. The pace of jujitsu is different from the pace of MMA. It's a different pace. It's a different pace. So we were just doing a basic drill. I'm in closed guard on top, trying to do a ground and pound. He's trying to figure out what he's going to do. And when we did the drill earlier, when he was in the top position, he was going fairly slow, trying to clinch me up from the top and not doing that much striking. And eventually, the time got by. I was able to hold him in. When we switched positions, his first comment was, the punches came at me at such a fast rate. And again, going back to what you said, I'm not trying to hit him or knock him out. We're being safe. There's strikes towards the face, so he has to deal with having someone trying to hit him while using his jiu-jitsu. And his first comment was the pace was completely different from the pace of regular jiu-jitsu. It moves differently. So like he was more gassed, he was more tired. He can do a 5-minute jiu-jitsu roll, but 3 minutes of someone trying to strike him threw him for a loop. And he was gassed. Gassed. In a minute and a half, he was gassed. So
and it goes up exponentially, because if you're just drilling by yourself or doing drills, you're not going to get tired. You can do it for a long time. If you're just rolling jujitsu, then it's, say on a scale of 1 to 10, it's maybe 4. It tires you out. Now you add punches to it, like an MMA fight. Now it's like a 6 or 7. Okay. But if that exact same, everything was the same, but now there are no rules, it's in the street, and your back, you have them in your guard, but the back on your back is fucking concrete, and the guy's trying to actually pound your head. He's actually trying to grab your skull and slam it on the ground and punch you. Now everything is, the fast pace is now, it looks like a snail when you're doing MMA compared to street, because everything goes up. Mainly, the odd, the what you call it goes up. You got. I mean, what's going to happen if you don't win is now you're going to die, right? So it ups the ante a lot from MMA, where you're on the mat, and that's terrible. And the guy's punching you, that's terrible. But imagine a guy's punching you on the concrete and he's trying to kill you, and there's no ref, and you know it, to protect you if you start going out. If you start going out, the ref will stop it. In the street, there's no ref. So your adrenaline is so much higher than MMA, because an MMA fighter is a trained sport fighter. That's what they're trained to do, and it's a sport, and they know in their head, yeah, they might get knocked out. They might even, break a bone or something, but they don't usually go into a fight thinking, I might die here. In a street fight, they do. So the necessity of physical conditioning, physical fitness in a real street fight compared to an MMA fight or a jiu-jitsu match is so much higher. It boggles my mind that MMA fighters push their conditioning and their cardio so much higher than the average traditional martial artist who wants to stay alive in the street. It's like, I can't even understand it. I was like, when I'm watching them shamming like that in class, it blows my mind. And it's one reason we push that so hard here. And I had 2 people not pass our belt testing last cycle because of the conditioning. Their techniques were fine, but their conditioning wasn't up to par. So one thing that you guys got to realize when you're doing this is you're not a CrossFit gym, so don't carry it like one, because the CrossFit gym doesn't do all the martial arts stuff. The guys don't go in there doing Fran and all that and say, hey, how come we can't do some ground and pound? Because they don't even think of martial arts. but we have to think of fitness when we're doing ours. So it's not a fitness, it's not a fitness competition. It's a martial arts test to make sure you're prepared to fight in a real life situation. So our conditioning, like I said, we don't train like CrossFit guys. We train like martial artists, and it's really different. It's a lot different because I'm a CrossFit gym. I'm a CrossFit affiliate. I've entered the CrossFit Games. I know what it's like to enter and to train for a CrossFit match, and I know very well what it's like to train for a fight. So I know the differences and I know the similarities. So I'm a firm believer that anyone that doesn't have fitness in their core curriculum is missing out and missing out big time. And they're doing their students a huge disservice.
So that being said, well, okay, well, I'm gonna ask you a question, then we're gonna turn to the comments real quick. But that being said, what are some simple, easy things? I'm kind of asking you a question I know the answer to, but for our viewers that don't, what are some simple, easy things if you are a traditional martial arts school and you're basic? Let's just look at Kajukenbo, classic Coke Kajukenbo, classic Coca-Cola Kajukenbo.
I get a perfect one.
How would
I'll
you
tell you a
add
perfect one.
some things? How would you add something from what you're recommending into that? What's one thing you
Like
could?
well, like drilling day, like a drilling day or a sparring day. Um, we don't want them drilling or sparring too hard because nobody can do that and not be injured. So add to your sparring day some burpees in between. Like have them do burpees for 30 seconds and then spar for a minute and a half and then go back and forth and simulate their exhaustion while they're doing burpees because they shouldn't be doing sparring that hard anyway, or else they're just going to get hurt. You can say, well, if you didn't spar like they're supposed to fight, that's just dumb. That's like you can't spar like you're going to fight, or you're always going to be injured and you're never going to learn. So you want to spar like you fight, okay, to a certain degree, to the level that you're not going to get hurt. And from there, take it to the next level, doing something benign that's not going to hurt them, but will get their heart rate up, stimulate a real fight situation, something like burpees or 8 counts. Why is
How did
that
you do
coming up?
that? How did you
What
do
was
that?
that?
Well,
How was what was that?
I
How,
have no idea. How did,
how did that just
I
happen?
have no idea. That was
Was somebody
amazing.
asking something,
You
or did
just
they?
did it. You're like you are a magical man.
How did that?
That
Anyway, I don't know how that happened.
was great. I didn't do it. That was awesome. You're a wizard.
So
You're a wizard, John. You're a
I
wizard.
must be. But anyway, so that's what those are a couple things like add burpees throughout your workout. There doesn't even have to be a rhyme and a reason. They could be hitting the bag, and then boom, all of a sudden do burpees, they can go right back on the bag. Or you could even take it one step further. They could be drilling or sparring, stand up, and then boom, burpees. Then when they're done, get on the ground. One person on top, one person on the bottom, some mount escape stuff while they're exhausted. Then boom, back to the burpees. Then throw them on the bag. Let them hit the bag as hard as they can while they're exhausted, because that's a very important skill to have. Being able to hit as hard as you can while you're exhausted. And when you start doing that a lot, that adds to things because most people, when they're exhausted, they just hit really sloppy and not very hard. But you have to drill that out of them, not into them, but out of them. And that's going to be by exhausting them with burpees, 8 counts, Glover sprawls, or just basic sprawls, just like sprawl, 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 or something that gets them exhausted. Sprawling is a great skill to have, but also if you do it in high repetitions, it's also a great cardio workout. Try to do 10 minutes straight of sprawls. It's a great workout. So just stuff like that.
All right, so let's turn to the comments real quick. Zen says hello. Hi.
Hey,
Cox, yes, sir, and demonstrating fighting ability. How many guys get knocked out because they ran out of breath and blamed their striking coach? Ground under 12 says, John, you're the man. John Cox, again, adding punches is like driving with a cougar in the car. John Cox, thanks. Gone. Okay. Zen Baron, I'm having trouble being comfortable in my southpaw stance. Is there any way to improve that? Meaning my rear foot is always far behind no matter what. Um, Zen, if you're or well, how's this? This is going to be a bonus question. If Zen is orthodox or southpaw, what do you think? If someone's orthodox, should they just stick to orthodox and they're having problems with southpaw? Should they work on that, or should they let that go altogether?
I honestly don't think it matters. I think everybody should do whichever. If someone's, I don't think, I don't notice a real benefit to people that switch southpaw, go back and forth, because we all have the same amount of time to train, and if somebody's trained half and half, they're probably going to be half as good on each one. Then if they spend 75% of one, 25% of the other, they'll be that good. But then if you spend 100% of one, you're going to have all you're going to be the best there. And it is good to switch up now and then for certain techniques, like you switch, take one step back for a certain kick, one step back for a certain takedown. But the person that switches back and forth, I don't think you have any more benefit being a southpaw or orthodox. And the only thing that people say it does, and it might for some people, but I've never noticed it at all, is they say that it's better to try to be southpaw because most people aren't used to fighting southpaws, so it throws them off. So with that said, I think that's completely great if you are a southpaw. But I think if you're a regular going to southpaw, then it's going to take. Sometimes your brain isn't even wired that way. You were born orthodox, so when you get hit hard, sometimes things don't work the same, and you're used to going southpaw, but your mind is still hardwired for regular. So some people just aren't as good when they go to the opposite one. So I'm not and some people are great at it. Guys like Marvelous Marvin Hagler was great as a southpaw, but then when he switched regular, he was never as good. He just wasn't as good regular as he was southpaw. But I don't know why he ever switched. He did so good as a southpaw because that was his regular. That was his. But then guys like Wonder Boy, they seem to switch up and they have different things from either. They have different strengths from both feet forward, so they're better at some things this way than some things the other way. But I really think you should just. I don't think it matters one way or another. I think if your style is good that way, then practice it that way. But I don't think you're fooling anyone by trick switching. I don't think like people go, "Oh, she switched. What should I do now?" I think you're thinking, "Well, I switched. What should I do now?" And then by the time you're remembering, you've been kicked in the head.
Well, as an instructor, I find I'm southpaw, but it's because when I first started training, I took up southpaw. I'm a skateboarder surfer. I've always been goofy, so I started
Yeah,
southpaw. Even though I'm right-handed, I started southpaw. It just made sense.
yeah.
But then navigating an orthodox world became a really big issue. Like most coaches, everything coming at me, I had to change a little bit. And then when I started teaching, I had to keep that in mind as well. Um, when I'm doing my training, because I have to teach the stuff, I end up doing both sides. But when I spar, I just stick to what I know. One more comment coming from Facebook from Wolf House. Oh boy, I can't say your name, buddy. Wolf Hell Hausenheim. They had to run. In my school, they had to run a certain time. Otherwise, they were going to have to do the test all over again. And we made them run Mount Tamalpais. Okay, cool. I guess they had to run up a mountain for their test. And let's see here. And those are all the comments. We did it.
That's good. Good. I like running, and running is part of our testing once in a while. But I don't want to just pigeonhole one thing running because, I mean, to be honest, I mean, the best, most powerful runners are sprinters. So, having to run long distance, if you look at a long distance runner, they usually don't look very powerful. And then I want some upper body, and I want more stimulation of a fight. I like the stimulation of something like Glover sprawls, which is a backdrop, and then you stand up, and then you do some kind of burpee in the front. It can be 4 punches in a sprawl, 4 punches in a burpee, but you're spending time getting up from the ground and going to the ground, and that's what a lot of fights entail. So I like exhausting them that way. So I'll have them do like I said, Glover sprawls, burpees, where they have to go down all the way to the ground, then they have to stand up. So I like that kind of conditioning for my guys. So I do that a lot. So you have to do say X amount of burpees in 7 minutes. Like they have to be able to do be able to do like 100 burpees in 7 minutes, or they have to do 50 burpees in 3 minutes, or they have to do 88 counts in a row, or something that's I can quantitate it and qualitate it easily. I don't do push-ups because there's too many different ways people do push-ups. And I don't want to micromanage people when they do push-ups. We do a lot of push-ups in training, but for testing purposes, I don't want to go no rep, no rep, no rep. You have to go all the way down, So I don't like things where you have to go all the way down, all the way back. Push-ups, squats, sit-ups, pull-ups. I don't like testing with them. I like training with them. But testing for them is a nightmare because I know guys that can do 150 push-ups, but they're only moving like an inch or two. And then the guy that's going all the way down, all the way up in the same amount of time, he's only doing 20. So who's really better? So I don't like using them. I only use things that can like go from point A to point B in a time. Or if they go like do a simple movement like a burpee, they have to go all the way down, and I don't count until their feet leave the ground. So I try to keep it as simple as possible, but I do try to mimic a fight. Like one of my exercises, you have to do 100 4 punches in a sprawl. That's just what you do in a fight, right? Sprawl and brawl. 4 punches, sprawl, back and forth. You're doing it 100 times for time. So something like that.
And then some people, like going back to the running thing, I mean, and I'll ask you what you think about this. I've been out here in Japan for 10 years. I've been training people in Japan for 9. So the first year I got here, I settled in, and then I started training myself. I was always training myself, but I started training people again after I settled in. And I've had the gym open for about 6 years. And for the first time in 6 years of the gym being open, and for 9 years of being in Japan, I finally had a retired sumo wrestler
Oh
come in
yeah.
the gym. The guy's huge. He's 305 pounds, about 6'6", huge guy. He did some bodybuilding, powerlifting when he was 18, and then he got picked up by a sumo wrestling company. And he retired. He's like 34. And now he wants to do MMA. He's huge, huge guy. And he comes in with his one of his students that also retired, and he's a judo black belt. But they're both big guys. Like he's 305, his friend is 275. And I had him go through the Glover sprawls. It's like, all right, let's finish up. We did some no-gi and talked about what their event's going to be and what they need to practice. And then after they were done, I said, okay, let's see your conditioning real quick. And I had him do 5 minutes of Glover sprawls, a 2 count and Glover sprawls for 5 minutes on the bag. And they were dying. They were dying. And I asked them when they were done, I'm like, what are you doing for cardio right now? Like, because they have a fight next month. I'm like, what are you guys doing right now for your cardio training? Do you run? And they both looked at me like, we can't run. That's their response. Well, we can't run. What do you think about that? What would you say to
Why
someone?
why can't you run?
They said they're too big. They said we suck
Oh
at
my God,
running.
there's guys in
The Japanese
there's football players.
their Japanese translation to this is not can't. It's that it's extremely difficult for us to run. And when I said running, I was talking like, do you run like for 30 minutes or what kind of cardio? That's what I meant. I didn't talk about sprinting. So what would you say to something like that?
They're just looking for a weak excuse.
Go make them run.
They have to run. There's football players bigger than that are running like they run a 100-yard dash in like 40 fucking 4 seconds. I mean, there's some of the fastest muscle, like you ever see the
Oh
world's
no,
strongest man?
Oh, or the linebackers, right? Like, no,
Those
I
guys
know
were
they're
their
good.
cardio was insane. They could run, they could sprint.
Okay.
Yeah, they could run.
So maybe
If you're too big for your joints and then you're just fat and you're out of shape anyway.
well,
If you yeah.
so so what you're recommending for them then is not your because remember in Japan when they hear running, they're thinking like long distance, like a 3 mile, 3 to 6 mile run. But what you're talking about is sprinting.
Yeah. And they should be able to run a 2 mile run.
Okay.
I
Two,
mean, if they can't, they're just or a
two,
three
three
mile
miles.
run.
Make them
Yeah.
do 3 mile. Okay, I'm gonna make them do it.
But you can't sprint a 3 mile run.
I'm
But
gonna.
they could sprint 100-yard dashes.
All right. I'll start with 100-yard dashes.
Yeah.
Lately, I've just been torturing him. I said, okay, I'm not gonna,
How are
let's
they gonna fight if they're that out of shape?
Well, I mean,
Jeez.
they could do the well. They did, like I said, they were able to do the. I made them do 5 minutes of the Glover sprawls, 5 minutes of the medicine ball throws, followed by 5 minutes of ground and pound and burpees, and they could do it. They were dying, but they could do it. No, they didn't give up. They did 3 rounds back to back, 30-second break. But
Yeah.
I'm gonna make them do some dashes, and I'm gonna throw in the the 5K run.
Or they can do 10 10s, like 10 100-yard dashes, and then 10 times 10, 10 times, and then make them do like 3 burpees on each end and then go.
It's gonna be fun. I
You
had a good
better.
time watching. I had a good time. I've never seen. Like I said, been in Japan a long time. These are the biggest guys I've ever had come to the gym. In the U.S., it's more common, but I was like, what? I mean, there's no qualms. When I saw the guy, he looked like a sumo wrestler, and I was thinking, there's no way this guy's a sumo wrestler. And then my wife comes up to me translating, he's a sumo wrestler. I'm like, you gotta be fucking kidding me.
Yes. Good luck with that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that is our 30 minutes, John. Anything you want to say before we go?
Put put fitness testing in your curriculum. Put it in your core curriculum, not an extra. Put it in your core curriculum. And when they test, every bell test should include some type of physical conditioning. That's all. That's all. I'll leave it with that.
All right. So this is the Live Clean and Fight Dirty show. Oh, hey, show them your new hat. You took it off. There is new apparel at the pit. Oh boy, that's a different website. What website is that?
Which
Monster,
one?
the one where you can get stuff.
Oh, go to pitmonster.com.
Pitmonster.com.
Yeah.
That's
No,
pit.
no, wait. No.
No.
Pitmonsterapparel.com.
Okay. Scratch that. Go to
Scratch that.
pitmonsterapparel.com
Apparel.com.
and you can get that hat. It's a badass.
Pitmonsterapparel.com.
And also, shameless plug, if you want training, there's still a few spots available for online private
The
lessons
Pit Online Dojo, guys.
on days
Whether you want to get a belt,
no,
or you just want to sit in and
watch classes.
watch some classes and even take part without a belt. So the belt program is open, and the audit. You can audit the class. You can watch it, do everything on it. You just don't want to go for a belt. Maybe you got your black belt. You just want to learn some pit stuff, or maybe you're a school owner and you want to bring some pit, some of our curriculum, because with our even our no belt system, for like less than a freaking 2 cups of coffee. I mean, you could honestly 2 cups of coffee per month, and you can have all our curriculum monthly. So you could run if you're running a school, you got all this curriculum to go with it, and you're not going for a belt, but you can get all the curriculum. There's a video for every technique we do. Bing.
Thepit.tv. All right.